The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, it's nothing but problems today.
Yeah. Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Wednesday in the rib, and we've got all kinds of issues, so let's hope we can get through this. We've got a big show.
Well, the thing is, we do not have YouTube Live, so we're going to have to wait until the video is ready for us before anyone can see it. So sorry about that, people, but we're having nothing but technical difficulties today. And as you can tell, it's also very difficult for you to hear from Chip because he's coming through on the phone. Right off the bat, I'm going to give you the COVID numbers. As of yesterday, we had a total cases of 519,125. New cases is 1,319. Total deaths is 14,821. New deaths is 68. Bristol County is 52,832. There are no new Fall River numbers because they will not be out until tomorrow. So there we go there. Now into the meat of this show.
Yeah, the travesty that was referred to as a school committee meeting on Monday was the most blatant display of cover-up I've ever seen in my life. The game, again, they refused to go into executive session because apparently they don't. They have to get their ducks in order for the big cover-up of Matt Malone. And parliamentarily, that meeting may not even be. Half the things they did are invalid. I think we should probably just start. I think you have a comment from Shawn Cadime that you wanted to read.
I do indeed. And here we go. All right. Shawn Cadime. He posted this about 16 hours ago. Did you watch the Fall River School Committee meeting? Here's what happened. Per a quote-unquote leak, apparently 4 members of the school committee spoke with each other to not enter into executive session to finish the work listed on the meeting agenda because they had quote-unquote serious concerns about the confidentiality of executive session conversations. This is a complete violation of the open meeting law, but that's minor in comparison to allowing the superintendent to violate state and federal employment law. 3 of the 7-member committee, including the mayor, had no prior knowledge of why a motion to enter into executive session was voted against. Apparently, a deliberation took place with the majority of the members outside of an open meeting. Side note, only 2 members seemed concerned that the superintendent cost the district roughly $250,000 because he refused to join a collaborative which would require him to participate in monthly meetings. The collaborative focuses on providing intensive education programs and services to improve the academic achievement of students with low incidence disabilities in the least restrictive environment. Students that include our out of district placements. Breaking news. Now that New Bedford has joined the group, the superintendent now agrees that it is worth his time to attend monthly meetings. My thank you note to New Bedford superintendent is in the mail. Little did they know that they would be helping us save money too. Recap, for those of you not following at home, here are some helpful definitions. Leak, one of the many district employees who are desperately looking for leadership. Deflecting, when committee members blame leaks for their brash dereliction of responsibility and their fear of being held accountable and holding others accountable. Leadership, watch the last 10 minutes of the school committee meeting to see what words cannot describe, including getting up and leaving a meeting because you're not getting your way, only to see leadership walked back through the door when he realized he left his team with no control. Rules of school committee politics. First and foremost, get your family members jobs. Second, learn to count to 4. Third, when questioned, deflect and blame the leaks. 4, be sure to pay back political favors with a contract extension. 5, if you really want to do the right thing, then ignore steps 1 through 4. Predictions. Certain members are readying themselves to give a contract extension to the superintendent for his phenomenal leadership and exceptional treatment and empowerment of his employees.
Well said, but we've been kind of saying this, for about 4 or 5 shows. Listen, the superintendent, if my memory serves me correctly, when they started talking about this collaborative, they talked about 2018.
Correct.
So we had an opportunity to save this $250,000 per year since 2018.
That's right.
So it's a lot more than $250,000. There's more ineptness, arrogance. He doesn't want to attend a meeting. He's too busy. That's his job as a superintendent of schools. But to get to the meeting, and we have to do, this is going to be a 2-show, everybody. So tune in Friday because we don't have enough time to cover all the stuff we've got here. But if you watch that meeting, and I have it here on at YouTube, go on YouTube and punch in Fall River School Committee and look at their meeting on the tape. I believe it was the 8th. And I was just looking at it before we came on the air. But watch the fiasco. I mean, Shawn Cadime talked about leadership, and there was no leadership because there's no parliamentary procedure. The first thing that you and I both know, CJ, is when you have a meeting, especially when you're a political body or a union body, and you are bound by certain parliamentary laws and rules, you have to run the meeting that way, and it's done to prevent a circus like this. And I'll mark this down because I know the mayor always watches this, or one of his chief of staff. I'll give him credit for being on the right side of the vote. He voted correctly. However, I sent him a copy of some of the parliamentary procedure. You should avail yourself, and if you're going to run a meeting, you should take advantage of the internet and read your parliamentary procedure. They are, we normally run under either Atwoods or Roberts. They run under Cushing's. Cushing's has a lot more latitude because it's a political body. But if you watch that video, you will see Mark Costa, the vice chair, get up and walk out of the meeting, not vote on a motion to adjourn, which is a priority motion, the highest priority motion. So the vote was 3-3. The motion is dead, adjournment. That's it. It was a tie. But then he walked back in and tried to vote after the roll call had been taken, which is illegal. Then he made a motion to reconsider, which is illegal. Then everybody started talking across and asking questions and interjecting and why don't we have this thing? The motion is non-debatable. When you get a motion to adjourn, you go, motion made, if there's a second, there's a second, vote, period. No debate. And I'm going to read you Cushing's. The privileged motion to adjourn, which means it's a priority motion, takes precedent of all others except the privileged motion to fix a time to which to adjourn, which is only Cushing's. That's not the same in Roberts or Atwoods. But it's also a motion to adjourn to which it yields. It is not debatable, nor can it be amended or have any other subsidiary motion applied to it, nor can a vote on it be reconsidered. So that was an absolute disaster. And later on, they were, I believe it was School Committee Managia was had actually made a motion to speak, And I will read you, not from Cushing's, but this is Atwood's. The motion to adjourn can be made, but it cannot be recognized if there's a debate. It's out of order. If someone's on the floor, you can't just interject to make a motion to adjourn. But once that motion is made in order, it is a priority motion, has to be acted on, and that thing descended into total chaos. And that chaos is their cover. These four individuals are engaging in cronyism, collusion, corruption, and one of the most massive cover-ups I have ever seen. I do not know what kind of leverage that Malone has on this crew. It's more than just a job. Maybe he's agreed to be their personal employment agent. As long as he's the superintendent, get anybody they know a job. I don't know. That's it's speculation. I'm not saying that's much. I don't know what this guy has done on him, because this guy has actually committed crimes. Sexual harassment, age discrimination, ADA violations, you name it, he's done it. And these people are going to not only rehire him, they want to extend his contract. And the thing that disturbs me as a taxpayer, as a resident of Fall River, is this, and they're being successful, this effort to never let us see that report, never let us get any particulars, and let us have to speculate while this guy waits millions of dollars. He blew $250,000 this year. I don't know if we were in that collaborative since 18, but if it's $250,000 discount we would have got if we were members, that's another $500,000, plus the lawsuits that are coming, plus the legal fees that are coming, that are going to come out of the school budget illegally. If that MOU's not worth the paper it's written on, going to come out of that MOU that wasn't funded. They made a memorandum of understanding that had a financial piece, and nobody ever got the approval of the city council, to my knowledge. So when you get a contract, it has to be funded. You know that, and they know that, and so does the CFO. So that MOU isn't worth the paper it's written on, and it doesn't matter, because it's still city money. It's still taxpayer money. This guy is going to probably cost us multi-millions when these suits are adjudicated. I know that the person who had the violation of the ADA has filed it on the federal level. There are cases being filed. So we're going to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees because they've already looked at hiring an outside firm to litigate the lawsuits. And then we're going to pay the settlements, because they are going to settle, because he's admitted he did it and apologized for it. Yet these people are trying to keep him employed. They're a disgrace. They were elected to represent us. They were represented to ensure that our students and city employees have a non-hostile and productive environment. And we've got a guy that's got a history. Every place he's gone, he's left with his pants on fire. And as that individual in the Herald News article said, he spent his entire life being the most immature person in the room. Yet Fall River is going to be the only place that this guy can continue to be employed. He got run out of Swampscott, he got run out of Brockton, and he's here. I don't know why they're covering, but I think it may even be a RICO violation. They're colluding for illegal. That illegally this guy should be canned, and so should they. There's an election coming up in November. Anybody who votes for these four needs their head examined.
Oh, no question about it. There's no question about it. I'll tell you now. And in regards to that Southeastern Mass Collaborative, he was offered an opportunity in 2018 to join the collaborative. They wanted to have an assistant superintendent represent the school district. That, and I could tell you right now, just from looking at their board of directors, there isn't one assistant superintendent on it. They're all superintendents. So for Matt Malone to think he's better than these people, that he doesn't need to be at these meetings, is just a delusion. It's just a true delusion. It was very clear that they needed to have the superintendent present for these meetings. He felt it wasn't necessary. But now that New Bedford does it, well, maybe we should do it. No, we should have done it in 2018. It's $500,000 we lost because you, Mr. Malone, did not want to do it. You, Mr. Malone, think you're better than everybody else. You, Mr. Malone, have a Napoleonic complex. You, Mr. Malone, need to reconsider whether or not you should be employed by the city of Fall River because you are not doing the city any good. You are a mark, a smudge on the face of the Fall River school system. And it is not appropriate. By any means, it's not appropriate. And I can tell you now, and for the record, even though it's supposed to be confidential, I filed yesterday all the ethics violations against the Fantastic Four, and I don't care that they know it was me. Ethics won't tell them that it's me, but I'll say right here on the air, I've already filed it. And I can tell you now, I'm also looking at filing further on the mayor and several other people. I will do that and let ethics handle it. Because everything the mayor votes on can come into that letter of opinion that was issued to him by ethics because his brother is involved in almost every one of those issues. Therefore, if his brother is involved, he can't vote on it, which means you're useless to the school committee, Mr. Mayor. You opened this door. Now I'm going to make sure you get dragged through it. And I don't care if I drive ethics up a wall with multiple complaints. I will do it every single time you take a vote that your brother is involved in. Any involvement whatsoever. Whether it be hiring a person, terminating a person, whatever the case may be, I will make sure I file that ethical complaint. Because I have a copy of that ethical opinion, and I will send it with them like I did last night. I will send that opinion with the complaints. This is the end of the line. You will be held accountable. The city council is being held accountable. The school committee is now going to be held accountable. Everyone's going to be held accountable. The people of Fall River will no longer tolerate this behavior by the school committee in any way, shape, or form. And it's a shame that you people are looking out for your own best interests and not the best interests of the people of Fall River.
Well said, CJ. But you know, we have to go back and remember that even though, as I said, probably he couldn't vote, but at least he was on the right side yesterday. You know, he can put it on a calendar. He says we never give him any credit, but he was on the right side.
Yes, he was.
He wanted to continue with the business of the school committee. And that's the thing that disturbs me most about this whole scenario. Look, they're covering up, and this guy's going to cost the city millions. They signed that MOU. Where's the money coming from? And I spoke to a couple of city councilors. They have never seen a line item in the school department budget for lawsuit settlements and for legal fees pursuant to lawsuits. So that means when this guy blew it $250,000 and $250,000 in 18 and 19, it came out of the school department. Money allocated for the education of our children. When he settles these $1 million lawsuits, it's going to cost us millions probably on a federal level. And they're going to have to pay this firm that Powiak wants to hire because they can't do it. They're not capable of doing this. And you know they're going to settle. This firm is going to go in there, run up their billable hours, and then settle because the guy admitted it. He apologized. So who's going to eat it? The taxpayer. But I have a question, a legal question, to our CFO / CPA / attorney. You signed a memorandum of understanding in 2018 or 2017?
2017.
What, 2017? Did you ever bring that in front of the council and discuss the financial impact of that agreement, which you're supposed to by law? Did you ever get it funded? No. So that money's going to come out of the school department for money that was allocated for a different purpose. I'm not even sure that's legal. And I can guarantee you I will file to find out if that was legal. And if it isn't, I am going to hold everybody who is in this kangaroo clown show circus that we've got all the time responsible, because this is absurd. We have 4 school committeemen who are blatantly covering for an absolute pinhead. And I'm gonna, since you read, I'm gonna read something here. Hang on a second here. This is an article in the Suffolk University magazine in 2013. You can look it up. Bay State Education Chief Matt Malone, right? Blah, blah, blah. And this is a quote from him. If you saw my high school transcript, it would be an embarrassment, unquote. Says Matt Malone, Bachelor of Science in 93. Quote, I wasn't a student in high school. I graduated without learning my times table. At Suffolk, I was on double secret probation. My GPA was so low, they were going to throw me out, unquote. Now, okay, you're going to say, well, you know, but look, this was a piece by the Suffolk University school to try to say that, look at this guy become a success, even though he started out. And listen, there are a lot of us. If you could go back to high school, you would change some of the dumb things you did, because everybody did. Very, very few people really concentrated on what they did. When I went to school, if I didn't like the teacher, I didn't work. I didn't realize that a lower grade was only hurting me, because I was young and I was an idiot, like most teenagers are. You're not thinking about school, and we have had people at Bristol Community College who have become valedictorians of their graduating class at 40 years old or even older. Because as youths, they just didn't have, they weren't there. They hadn't matured. Yet later on, they turned their life around. And I assume that's what this piece was about, because he had gotten a political position as the Secretary of Education. But the problem with this is he called himself an embarrassment in high school, but now he's no longer a high school or college student. What is an excuse for the fact that he's continued through his entire adult life to be an embarrassment? You remember that article in the Herald News that said Matt Malone has spent his entire career being the most immature person in the room? Everywhere he went, he's followed around by lawsuits. Do you really believe that we, the city of Fall River, and its taxpayers, should employ this guy who was sued in Swampscott, bailed out of Brockton, and now we got 4 people covering for him and covering it up? They walk out of a meeting? How dare you? You're there, you were elected to do the work. You didn't even finish the agenda, which I'm not even sure if that cancels the entire meeting. As Shawn Cadime said, but this is a travesty. I have been around, and you've been around a long time, CJ. We've seen a lot of, clown shows, but this is the most egregious betrayal of the public trust by elected officials I have ever seen in my life in Fall River.
Just keeps getting better and better every time you turn around. It's just another thing that's laid on top of the pie, and it's just not making Fall River look any better to anyone. As a matter of fact, we're the laughing stock of the state. We're so bad we can't even get our COVID numbers published daily. We've got to wait a whole week for them, where they look really bad because they'll be so large. But again, I digress. It's time for the people of Fall River to rise up. I'm going to reach out to our viewers right now. I'm going to ask you to call your school committee members. Call Mimi Larrabee, call Mark Costa, call Josh Hetzler, call Tom Corey and tell them, if you extend Matt Malone's contract even one day, I will be sure that I do not vote for you, and I will work for any candidates running against you, because I will not tolerate the behavior of this man in my school system. Because remember, he is teaching your children how to behave by his own behavior. He's leading by example, and the example isn't good. It's a poor example, and the people cannot tolerate it anymore. They cannot tolerate it. And it is time for us as the people to rise up and take back our government. There is so much more we can get into, and we will on our next show, which will be Friday. But this is just getting to be obnoxious. This is obnoxious, people. We can't have this. We can't have this at all. And people need to understand, you need to stop it. It's your fault. I hate to blame you, but it's your fault. You keep re-electing these people or electing these people. That's not what we want. We want representation of the people, for the people, and by the people. We don't want representation for the school superintendent. We don't want representations for somebody's job, especially a job that was created for their wife. We don't want that. We want representation for the people, for our students. We want representation for us. And we're not getting that. And we don't get that in the city council as it is, and we say it all the time. But now we're saying it for the school committee. You know your government is broken when both bodies aren't working right. And we already know that we've got three bodies of government that are not working. Our judiciary branch isn't working. Our legislative branch definitely isn't working. And our administrative branch, our executive branch, definitely isn't working either. So where does the return come in? Where does the return for the people come in?
You're right. You're right. But listen, as we wrap this up, let me shout out to the city council. You better get into this fight. They're taking money that you allocated to something else in the school department, but they're going to be paying this, and you need to demand where, because you are the fiduciary. And to the mayor and the president of the city council and the chairman, who is also the mayor, please, it's your obligation as the chair to run the meetings properly. This is a copy of Atwood's Rules for Meetings. This is the first book I ever got when I became president of the firefighters, because these are the rules we use. Now you have a choice between Atwood's and Roberts. But before my first meeting, I read that book cover to cover, and I had it alongside of me at every meeting until I knew it well. Your lack of understanding of parliamentary procedure in both the city council and in the school committee resulted in the travesty we saw as a meeting. It was a circus, a clown show at the end of that meeting. It was disgraceful. And disgraceful is a very, very kind description, because I have another one, but it's not allowed on the air. And it's two words. And the first one is cluster. And then you know what the second.
Yes, I do.
So I mean, this is a disservice to the people of Fall River.
And that's the shame, and that's the problem that we have. And it really is sad state for Fall River. We look forward to Friday's show to bring you some more information on this and where it's going. I want to apologize to our viewers. I'm sorry that our show wasn't live on YouTube today. We're just having a lot of technical difficulties here. As a matter of fact, Chip is coming to you through a telephone. So please bear with us, and hopefully on Friday we'll get this cluster back into line. Well, thank you for watching. Remember, stay safe, stay angry, and wear a mask. Have a good day.